Hey all, this is David Ducker coming back at you, and today I'm going to be talking about chase scenes in RPGs. Before I get on to the topic, I will dedicate this video. I dedicate this video to Tim Harper. His channel is called Samwise7, I think it's called Samwise7. Tim, leave a comment below so they can find you. Tim posts a lot of good RPG videos. He's also a tremendous mediator as a moderator on our forum. That's the Facebook, YouTube RPG Brigade forum. He's a great guy. He's the nicest guy in the brigade. I might have already dedicated a video to him, but it never hurts to do a second shout out. Never hurts at all. That being said, we'll go back to chase scenes. Dedicated, of course, to Tim because he always looks like he's ready to run. He's so polite that I'm always worried that he's just going to peace out if I'm yelling at him, if I'm jaw-jacking at him, as I tend to do, as is my like and custom. But getting back to the topic at hand, chase scenes. Great scene, wonderful scene. Underused, underutilized, and I don't know why. I was talking to somebody recently about mass combats and how they don't like all the crunch that goes into them. And I said, well, just simplify it then. I mean, it's a great scene. Don't jack yourself and take that scene out of your repertoire, out of your arsenal, just because you don't like the mechanics. Just change the mechanics, or find some that you do like. It's the same thing with chase scenes. I mean, look at James Bond, or look at the Mel Gibson film Apocalypto, which is just like a full-length chase scene, and it's on foot. That's a great movie right there. Or look at Death Race, a race to the death. That's just a chase scene with a little bit of shooting. It's a race scene. And races are chases. They just have a different name on top of them. So, first of all, I'll go on to why some people have problems with chase scenes. Is that some systems either don't support them, there's no rules for them at all, they're omitted, or they have very poor rule set. It's like, I move 30 feet and you move 30 feet. So we'll just chase each other forever, ad nauseum. So there's just a bad rule sometimes. A bad rule can be worse than no rule, much worse. Usually you can actually improvise something that's better than some of the rules that are written, sadly. Shows how much work went into designing the game. Very little. So find something that works for you. Generally I'll just test whatever their bodily agility stat is as an opposed test against each other, and then do it incrementally. So they start off 60 feet away from each other, and I want the scene to last 3 rounds. Then I'll make each increment like 20 feet. Or if I want the scene to last 6 rounds, a longer chase, I'll make each increment like 10 feet. Or if you're in cars, make it 600 feet and just change up the increments. Or if they're in starfighters, make it 6 light minutes, or whatever the speed that you're looking at is. So find a ruling, even if you have to make it up on the fly. Just be consistent with it, and you shouldn't have any problems. I think I'll go into some anecdotes now, because I love me some anecdotes. There's not much to say about chase scenes except make them interesting. Do the test against each other, and then find some obstacles you can test against as well. So probably the best chase scene I've run was actually an aerial chase scene, and it was in my Legends of the Seven Sands game. They were attempting to resurrect the princess and her secret lover, Balian, the Grand Marshal. He had been killed in a battle, and she committed suicide when she heard about this. Very sad, somewhat dark storyline. Very, very emotional. The Pharaoh took them down to the temple, and he's trying to get them resurrected. So the resurrection was botched by the not even by the priest. I mean, he might have done everything right, but if they don't want to come back, if they're actually together now in the afterlife, they're not coming back. So what actually happened was their bodies were open up for their souls to come back. Their souls didn't come back. What came back were demons, and demons possessed their dead bodies, and rose up and started wreaking havoc in the congregation, breathing flames, summoning more demons, as demons are like to do. So a big fight scene erupted, and this was inside of a pyramid. The Temple of Ra is a great Egyptian-style pyramid. The top is actually a crystal cap that reflects the light of the sun throughout the whole city. And during the battle, one of the demons was killed. The other one smashed through the crystal cap, raining glass down, flew out into the city. So Josh hops his flying carpet, takes off after him. So the demon is now on leather bat wings, his demon wings, flying through the city, through all the narrow streets, and under bridges and balconies and awnings, knocking people over, flying around the tower. And Josh is right on his heels. This is one of the only opportunities in a Pathfinder game we've had to make fly checks, and Josh didn't have any ranks in it, so he was losing ground, and the demon's getting further ahead of him. And then eventually the demon busted into the catacombs and flies down underground into the catacombs. And once it's in there, it's trying to escape into the catacombs. But once it went underground, Josh, it had to slow down because it couldn't really spread its wings well underground in the tunnels. But Josh refused to slow down, so he's flying on his carpet through the catacombs, and he just spears the demon, just hits it with the pounce, and he ends up in like a fist fight with it. Fortunately, Josh is one of those rare wizards who can actually deal with a fist fight well. He got the single underhook on the demon's arm, and he presses in with the Lich Touch right on its face, and he did dispatch it. So they stopped the demons from spreading into the city via an amazing chase scene. This great aerial chase scene and knocking over camels and carts. And it was so much fun. It was tremendous. So that we got all that enjoyment out of it, and then some people are afraid to run that kind of scene. I'm like, brother, you're missing out on so much. Find a way to make it work, because the payoff is huge. It's just like the mass combats, which I already recorded that video. Who knows what order I'll post them in? Who knows? Another chase scene, because I'll give you 2 for 1. I'll give you 2 anecdotes for one video. Another chase scene I ran is in Rogue Trader. The player's ship drops out of hyperspace, and our main man Mike was manning the sensors. So I'm like, okay, roll for awareness. Rolls terribly. He's like, I roll 2 degrees of failure, and I'm like, oh, okay, you detect a planet on the outer rim of the system. He's like, oh, okay, roll again, and he rolls again. He's like, I have 1 degree of failure, and I'm like, beyond the planet, there's an asteroid field. And he's like, oh, okay, and I'm like, roll again. He rolls again. And he's like, 3 degrees of failure. And I'm like, oh, yes, beyond that asteroid field, there's another planet. And I'm describing the planets to him. I think they're all gas giants. But every time he's been failing, I've been moving the pirate ship, which is in stealth mode, closer and closer to them. So it gets point blank right behind them. And it powers up and just starts lighting him up, just blasting him. And so our pilot, who's an NPC, sadly none of the players made pilots in a space game. I don't know why. That's like my first choice. But so the pilot was an NPC, Chase Nakajima. So he powers up their engines and then hit this chase scene up. So, you know, at first in space, there's not a lot you could do with obstacles for the chase scene. So for the first couple rounds, they're just straight testing against each other. And they pulled a little ahead, and then they go closer, and then they pulled ahead and closer. Not super exciting stuff until they hit the asteroid field. Now you got some exciting chase scenes going on when they're passing by, you know, asteroids the size of full cities that could just crush the ships between them. Because we're doing it Star Wars asteroid thicket style. We're not doing a realistic style asteroid field. Because that would be boring as well. So we're taking some liberties with the laws of physics so we can get this great scene out of it. You know, just like George Lucas will do again and again and again. And I'd be shocked if one of his future Star Wars movies didn't have the same thing, because it's so much fun that we had to take advantage. So this great chase scene through the asteroid field, and eventually they managed to pull the Han Solo gambit and pull behind a big asteroid, power down. Well, pull behind, shift course, and then power down. So they managed to lose him and hide themselves. So, you know, you can get a great chase scene out of so many different genres. I've yet to do a nice James Bond style car chase scene, but I mean, that's a great one too. I'm sure I will do it at some point. As soon as we get into a modern game, that's going to be happening. And I'm sure I'll tell you about it as well, because I try to keep up with video recaps from my current games. So, again, the point of the video, use chase scenes, find a good reason to make them happen. And I guess one last piece of advice, if there's something that would ruin the chase scene, like if one of your players says boots of cheetah speed, or can cast expeditious retreat, or if he can fly and the enemies can't fly, whatever it is, think to yourself, is this the chance to make him look cool by having his ability thwart the enemy? Because you always want to let players use their abilities. You always want them to look cool. So, you know, half the time, take that and be like, oh yeah, you have a Pegasus. Of course you just defeat them easily at this chase scene. You know, then he's like, yeah, alright, I invested in a Pegasus and it paid off. I'm balling. So either do it that way, or come back and say, no, this is the time where they have a countermeasure. You got boots of cheetah speed, so does he. Or you've got a Pegasus, well, he has the horseshoes of cheetah speed on his horse, so good luck catching him. So play a little bit of scry versus scry, counter their magic, or their juju, or their high tech, with some of your own, or as long as the NPC would realistically have access to such. Or just give them that chance, make them look cool. Be like, oh, we could do this cool scene, or we could make you look cool. It's win-win. So I'll make you look cool right here, shine that spotlight right down on you. So decide what you're going to do first, but always have the option. It's just another tool in your toolbox. It's another weapon in your arsenal to make your game the best game in your local scene. So with that, I'm going to sign out. But first, I'm going to wish you all a nice day out there in YouTube land.